4-1, writing equations in slope-intercept form. Again, slope-intercept form is just y equals mx plus b. And we've already looked at finding the slope of a line when you're given 2 points using the slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So today we're just looking at creating equations in slope-intercept form when you're given a slope and a point. So step 1, determine whether the given point is the y-intercept. If not, substitute the given information into the slope-intercept form equation to find the y-intercept. Use the given slope and y-intercept you found in step 1 to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So example 1, write an equation of a line that passes through -8, 6 and has a slope of -3/4. We do not have the y-intercept, so we do need to find the y-intercept. So to do that, start off with y equals mx plus b, and we substitute some values in. My y is 6, my slope is -3/4, my x is -8, and I need to find the b. So -8 times -3 is 24. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So we got 6 plus b equals 6. To get b by itself, I subtract 6 on both sides, and b would equal 0. So that means the y-intercept is at the origin. So I would have an equation of y equals -3/4 x. You don't need to put this plus 0 at the end. If you do, that's fine, but there's no need to do that. This would be our official equation. Example, write an equation of a line that passes through 7, 5 and has a slope of 3. Again, here's my x and here's my y, so I need to find the y-intercept. By the way, you will know if you have the y-intercept as the point because it would be in this point, this format, 0, comma, whatever your y value would be. Since we do not, we need to substitute 7 and 5 in for x and y. So we have the slope of 3, x of 7, find the b, and we have 5 equals 21 plus b. To get b by itself, I subtract 21 on both sides, and I get -16 equaling b. So our equation would be y equals 3x minus 16. Next one, point is -4 1/4, so I'd have 1/4 equaling 11/16 times a -4 plus b. Here I can divide -4 out and get -1. Divide 4 out here and you get 4. So now I have 1/4 equaling a -11/4 plus b. If I subtract or add 11/4, I now have b equaling 1/4 plus 11/4 is 12/4. 12/4 is the same as 3. So my equation would be y equals 11/16 x plus 3. Example 2. Write an equation of slope-intercept form. We're given a word problem. Marissa is baking a recipe that calls for her to turn down the temperature on her oven for part of the baking time. Write an equation to represent the situation if the temperature in her oven drops 25 degrees Fahrenheit every 30 seconds, and after 2 minutes, the temperature is 350 degrees. So a couple of things we need to figure out. We need to figure out our point, and the point that we're given is right here. So we have 2 minutes and 350 degrees. And then we need to find our slope or our rate. And it says it drops 25 degrees. So that's a -25. That's our change in y for every 30 seconds. Now, our point is in minutes. So 30 seconds is 0.5 minutes. So if I were to do the change in y over change in x, I would have -50 divided by 0.5, which is really -50 divided by 1/2. When you're dividing by a fraction, you're really multiplying, so -25 times 2 would give us -50. So it's a change of -50 degrees. So now I'm going to use my point. 350 is my y. equaling my slope of negative 50 times my x, which is 2, plus the b. Now I can solve, and that gives me negative 100 plus b equals 350 degrees. Get b by itself, I'm going to add 100, and I'm left with 450 degrees is my starting temperature. So my equation would be y equals negative 50x plus 450. Next, membership. Total monthly cost of Basil's gym membership increases by $5 per class. After signing up for 4 classes 1 month, her total cost is $49.99. Which equation represents Basil's total monthly cost y after attending x classes? So for this one, we need to have a point, which would be 4 and 49.99 is 1 point. We're given the rate, which is $5 per class. So if I put 49.99 here equaling 5 times 4 plus the b, this gives us 20 plus b equals 49.99. Solve for b by subtracting 20. My b would equal 29.99. So the only one that gives us a starting point of 29.99 is A and C. And the one that has that it increases, that means a positive 5, would be letter C. Next one, the total monthly cost of Javier's cable bill increases by $4.99 per movie. We purchased the right equation represents the situation if after watching 3 movies in a month, Javier's cable bill is $93.97. So our point is 3 and then 93.97. So if I put 93.97 here, equaling our rate of $4.99 for 3 movies plus the b. Solve this one. I take 4.99. 4.99 times 3 gives us 14.97 plus b equals 93.97. Get b by itself, I subtract 14.97. End up with b equaling 93 minus 14. This will give us $9.79. Just double checking that. Minus 14.97 gives us $79. So b would be 79. So our equation would be y equals 499x plus 79. Next part of our lesson is creating a linear equation and slope-intercept form when you're given 2 points. So here we're going to have to use the slope-intercept formula to find the slope. So step 1 says use the given points to find the slope of the line containing the points. So you're going to use y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Then it says use the slope from step 1 and either of the given points to find the y-intercept of the line. And then use the slope you found in step 1 and the y-intercept you found in step 2 to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So example 3, write an equation of a line that passes through these points. So I'm going to use the formula y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, whatever order pair you choose first, that has to be the first number on top and on bottom. So I'm going to choose this one first. So I'm going to do 1.6 minus a negative 0.7 divided by a negative 3.4 minus a 1.2. When I saw this one is really 1.6 plus 0.7, which will give us 2.3 all over negative 3.4 minus 1.2 gives us a negative 4.6. And on my calculator, I just do 2.3 divided by negative 4.6, and I get a negative 0.5, or you can write it as negative 1/2. Now that we have our slope, we need to find our y-intercept, and I have to choose one of the points. It doesn't matter which points you choose because you'll still get the same answer because they're on the same line. So I'm going to choose this line right here. So my y is negative 0.7 equals my slope of negative 0.5, and my x is 1.2, and I need to use that to find my b. So negative 0.5 times 1.2 gives us a negative 0.6. Get b by itself, I add 0.6 to both sides, and I'm left with b equaling negative 0.1. So my equation would be y equals negative 0.5x minus 0.1. So that is one way you could write your equation. You could also put it as a fraction, which would be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1/10. Either way would work. Next one, write the equation of the line that passes through these points. And I'm going to do 6 minus 4 divided by negative 2 minus a negative 5. And I'm left with 2 over 3. My slope is 2/3. And I'm going to choose this point here. So I have 6 equaling 2/3 times negative 2 plus b. This gives us a negative 4/3 plus b equals 6. Now I need to, when I'm having fractions involved here, when I'm going to add and subtract fractions, I need common denominators. So I'm going to rewrite the 6 in thirds. So that means I multiply this by 3/3. And I'm going to have 18/3 equaling negative 4/3 plus b. I'm going to put that up here. So 18/3 equaling a negative 4/3 plus b. To get b by itself now, I just add 4/3. And I'm left with b equaling 18 plus 4 is 22/3. So my equation would be y equals 2/3 x plus 22/3. Next example, here we need to find our slope again. Here I'm going to take the second point first. So I'm going to do 1.4 minus a negative 1.2. Divide that by 1.9 minus a 3.2. So 1.4 minus a negative 1.2 gives us an answer of 2.6. And then 1.9 minus 3.2 gives us a negative 1.3. And 2.6 divided by a negative 1.3 gives us a slope of negative 2. I'm going to choose a point. I'm going to choose this point here. So my y coordinate is negative 1.2 equals my slope of negative 2. And my point is 3.2 plus b. So negative 2 times 3.2 gives us negative 6.4. Plus negative 1.2. To get b by itself, I'm going to add 6.4. And I'm left with b equaling 6.4 minus 1.2 gives us 5.2. So my equation would be y equals a negative 2x plus 5.2. 7, negative 12. I'm going to do negative 12 minus negative 3. Divide that by negative 7 minus a negative 5. We end up with negative 9 over a negative 2. To give us a slope of 9/2. Choose the points. I'm just going to choose, let's choose negative 7 and negative 12. So negative 12 equals our slope of 9/2 times our y, which is negative, our x is negative 7, plus our b. So This gives us negative 63 over 2 plus b equals negative 12. To rewrite this, I need to multiply this by 2 halves. And I'm now left with negative 24 halves equaling negative 63 halves plus b. To get b by itself, I just add 63 halves. And I'm left with b equaling 63 minus 24 gives us 39 halves. So my equation would be y equals 9 halves x plus 39 halves. Now, if you were to put that as decimals, you would have y equals 4.5x plus 39 halves would be 19.5. Either way, you would have the same answer. Next, example 4. The number of students enrolled in public high schools in the United States has risen slightly since 2010. Write an equation that could be used to predict the number of students enrolled in public high schools if enrollment continues to grow at the same rate. So the first thing we need to do is find out how much is it increasing by. So I have 14,753 minus 14,749. Divide that by 2012 minus 2011. So we take that 14,753 minus 14,749, and we get 4 all over 1. So according to this one, we would have like a slope of 4, but you can tell from the table here that they don't just increase by 4 students each time. Here, this just increased by 4, then this increased by 1, and this increased by a lot more. So 826 minus 754, that's an increase of 72, and then it increased by even more for the next year. So the best way to doing this is taking the first point and comparing it with this last point. So to change this one, we're going to do 14,912. And we're going to subtract from the first year, which was 14,749. And this would be 2015. So this would be difference 4 years. And then we got 14,912 minus 14,749 gives us 163. And then if you do 163 divided by 4, you would get an answer of 40.75. So that would be our slope. If I use that and then choose a point from the table on there, it doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm just going to choose this last one here. So that would give us 14,912 equaling 40.75 times, our x is the number of years after 2010, so this would be 5 plus b. I do 40.75 times 5 gives us 203.75 plus b equals 14,912. The starting points, I would subtract 203.75. 14,912 minus 203.75. We would have a starting enrollment of about 708.25 in the year 2010. So our equation would be y equals 40.75x plus 14,708.25. Now this is just a rough estimate. This isn't the exact equation that you could use. This is a possible way to put that in there. And if you use this equation with the numbers you have in there, it would give you roughly the same numbers. Next one, apply population of young adults ages 14 to 24 in the United States increased during recent decade. The table shows the number of young adults from 5 to 9 years at the beginning of the decade. Find an equation that could be used to predict the number of young adults if the population continues to grow at the same rate. So the first thing we need to do is find the rate of change from this year to this year. So I'm going to take 47.17 minus 46.51, and I'm going to divide that by 9 minus 5. So we have 47.17 minus 46.51. That gives us 0.66. And then this gives us 4. So 0.66 divided by 4 gives us an answer of 0.165. So now I'm going to choose a point. I'm going to then choose this point here. So I have 47.17 equaling our slope of 0.165 times 9 plus b. So I would multiply this by 9. It gives us 1.485 plus b. To get b by itself, I subtract 1.485. I get 47.17 minus 1.485. I get 45.685, equaling our b. So our function that we could use would be y equals 0.165x plus 45.685. So those are our kinds of problems working with writing equations in slope-intercept form.